Welcome back to Nicholas Comic Corner Classics, known classics. This is episode number 1295 and Doubleshot number 1189. I have one Marvel trade, one DC trade. The first trade I'm discussing is the last trade for Absolute Carnage. Yes, this is the last one. I mean, can you believe this is the last of the Absolute Carnage stuff I have to review? With this, I pretty much viewed everything related to Absolute Carnage except for a one-shot. Yep. And it's a one-shot that's not in here. Yes, it's Absolute Carnage Weapon Plus. Which I'm kind of like, why the heck isn't this one-shot in trade? As a matter of fact, none of the Weapon Shot Plus, none of the one-shots for Weapon Plus are in trade. None. Which I think that's quite stupid for Marvel to do, but... Okay, now, what about these three one-shots? Immortal Hulk mostly deals with what goes on Incredible Hulk in the Immortal Hulk book. It doesn't do much for anything related to this crossover. It just basically deals with General Ross. And some mild connections to him being connected to the MCU, but that's simply... It's pretty much a work... It's very pointless tie-in. The Symbiotic Spider-Man. Here's the strange thing about this one-shot. This might be called a Symbiotic Spider-Man. It has nothing to do with Spider-Man. Nope, this one-shot is all about the White Rabbit. Yes, essentially put a D-list Spider-Man villain who tries to take out a judge and has... The only connection it has to it is not until toward the very end of the one-shot where a prison she's at, a guy who was one of the people who was possessed by these dark Carnage symbiotes breaks to prison, kills the judge, and that's it. It's most focused on her witnessing stuff related to Immortal Hulk. That's the most of it. Spirit of Vengeance. This one's quite interesting, believe it or not, because this one is focused on a character who, prior to this, had not been seen in 8 years. Well, actually, there was a couple characters, believe it or not, who was focused as one shot. One, of course, is Dan Ketch. Yep. The other, of course, is Alondra. Yes, this beautiful woman who briefly became the Spirit of Vengeance in the brief Ghost Rider volume published in 2011. It had 9 issues, and the only reason why, get this, that her connection to the crossover is because of Circle of 4. Something Rick Remender did. Yep. Yeah, because she had a connection to that, and then she died. Yes, they killed off Alondra, a character who prior to this had not been seen in 8 years. Like, it kind of begs the question, okay, you bring the character back in for 8 years and you kill her off? Why? It just seems so head-scratching, to say the least. In case you're curious, though, is this follow-up in the Ghost Rider book, basically, that stars Johnny Blaze? Nope. The events of this one shot not even mentioned at all. One thing nice about it, I focus on not only her, but also Dan Ketch, the Ghost Rider from the 90s, which is quite nice. And apparently he's sort of in the way retired to being a Ghost Rider, but he got back this one last thing. Now, who writes these one-shots? Well, the Immortal Hulk one and Symbiotic Experiment by the regular writers. Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing, Symbiotic Experiment. Peter David. Spirit of Vengeance is done by Ed Bronson, believe it or not. Yes, Ed Bronson does this one. The artwork for these ones, basically, for Immortal Hulk is Felipe Andre, Symbiotic Spider-Man, Francisco Mobili, and Juan Verguri. Those are Symbiotic Vengeance. Now, funny thing is that the Symbiotic Spider-Man from Absolute Carnage one-shot, the cover is done by Greg Land, but he is not doing the interior, which, wow, that was quite something to see that. I'd say of these 3 one-shots, I'd say the strongest one is probably Spirit of Vengeance because I really got a big Ghost Rider fan. Now, in the case of the other 2, Immortal Hulk is by far the weakest tie-in out of this entire event. Symbiotic Spider-Man has barely anything to do with this event. Yep, but why I got this? Because it's Absolute Carnage. I give this book roughly an 8.5 out of 10. Now, I do own pretty much almost the entire crossover and trade, plus some of the Aftermath stuff. Now, the only trade that's associated with this crossover I don't have here is the Amazing Spider-Man one. It's the only one I don't own, purely because I read it on digital. Now, here are the rest of the stuff I do own, aside from this book, related to Absolute Carnage. the main event. Deadpool vs. Carnage also includes the Captain Marvel one-shot. Miles Morales, which contains the digital miniseries Miles Morales. Oh, this is Weapons Plus. I kind of forgot it was here. So technically, yes, I have reviewed pretty much the whole thing of it. Yeah, this is what's going on. I kind of forgot it was here because it's been a while since I read it. A book I reviewed just recently, Lethal Protectors, which this one was really good. Scream. And this book also contains Cyber Anxiety. Lethal Protectors also contain the Avengers one-shot. Because why not? Because Avengers can be tied to everything. And of course, this. Now, I do have some of the Aftermath. We also have this, which this is also Absolute Carnage tie-in. Mm-hmm. Yep. I do have some of the Aftermath stuff. I don't have everything related, but this is pretty much all the Aftermath I do have. Like the short-lived Scream ongoing series. Ruins of Ravencroft. And finally, Venom Island. Yeah, and that pretty much covers the entire crossover for Absolute Carnage. In my opinion, a really good crossover. I mean, yes, it's not maybe as high a profile one as, let's say, War of the Realms. May not be exciting. It's more like a horror story, believe it or not. And there are some deaths. Now, from what I heard, just something quite interesting about this, is that Danny Coles was not allowed to kill any major characters in the story. But we had death of Alondra. We had also death of Shriek. Yeah, hers was the biggest one. Carnage himself got killed off on the main miniseries. And there are a few deaths here and there. But I'd say the biggest death of this entire crossover is Carnage himself. Which, that's shocking. You couldn't kill any characters, but you probably were allowed to kill off Carnage, probably because... And here's the thing. The thing with this crossover is it's also... The ending of it is set up for the current crossover that's going right now, King in Black. Which is really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. Absolute Carnage is definitely a good event. I do highly recommend it. But if you want to get to, let's say, this trade here, if you want to get that, it's up to you. I would only get this if you're a fan of, let's say, Immortal Hulk. If you want to basically get something else with Immortal Hulk. Or in the case of Spider-Man, I mean, the Cinematic Spider-Man one is easily skippable one. It doesn't really much anything. The Ghost Rider one is really interesting because I like that because I'm a big fan of Ghost Rider fan because, well, he's a cool character. Alright, moving on to something else related to supernatural stuff. We have Black Canary and Zatanna, Bloodspell. A one-shot written by Paul Dini. Yep, artwork by Joe Quinnis. Yes. Now, here's the thing. This book came out roughly in... I think it was like 2013, I think this was. 2014. This book was actually supposed to come out back in 2010, 2011. This book was heavily delayed for some reason. Yes, as far as I can tell, there's no real reason why the reason for the delay. Now, as you can tell by the cover, because it's DC Comics, this book came out in 2014 when basically the New 52 universe still going on even right now. We have Black Canary in her pre-Flashpoint attire. Yep, pre-Flashpoint because it said pre-Flashpoint. Though you can kind of say this also could be set in the regular, well, not just the main DC universe, but also maybe even in DCEU. It's not exactly sure when this takes place. Aside from Black Canary and Zatanna, guess who also is in here? We have Hal Jordan, a character who never been in Justice League, but in the comics. We also have Oliver Queen in the classic look for him with the Valkyrie beard. Let's see, was anybody else? Oh yeah, you also have a elongated man show up here. And look, he's sported from Just Like Limited. Mostly put is basically like how these two first met, and of course, which first time joining us. Like, I thought it was quite interesting. A Black Canary called Zatanna Kiddo, which is interesting because they're close to the same age. Maybe because she's a newbie. Yeah. But this one shot is just pure fun. Yeah. And I definitely think Paul Dini definitely a good choice to write this one shot. Especially since, well, he does have experience writing Zatanna. He wrote her ongoing series, a very brief one. His experience on Black Canary, probably in the animated series. Like, mostly in Justice League. But has he written any comic books featuring her besides this? No. Surprisingly, no. Yeah. Basically, just these two having a lot of fun. We also look like we have a story. We also have one of the parts of the story set in the 80s. Because, well, we have Zatanna basically in her old garb from the 80s. Along with Black Canary in her 80s look. Let's see if I can find it here because... Yeah, it's them when they're on Apocalypse of all places. Yeah, we also have a guest star appearance by the Martian Manhunter. Of course we do. And is it just me, or is that the Justice League Watchtower, appearance-wise, looks exactly like the way it did in the animated series? So it's slightly possible this is set in the same show. I'm not really sure because they don't really say. We also have appearance by the Key. Of course, the Key. Yep. Let's see if I can find it here. Them in their 80s looks. And here we go. We have Wonder Woman in her look that she sports actually, not currently. It's basically Plastic Man, Wonder Woman, Zatanna, and Black Canary. It was basically during a time when she was in the Detective Comics with Green Arrow that she got this look. Yeah, she's had a sport because she felt like it. Yeah, there's even seen here a Black Canary in the bathtub because, well, why not? But it's just a story of really good friends, and it's just pure fun, this one shot. Give this book roughly a 10 out of 10. They're just really damn good. Yep. But not much else to say about these two books. The Absolute Carnage one is okay at best. I mean, the best thing about this is best one shot in there is Three Dimensions. But this one shot here with Black Canary and Zatanna, this one just pure fun. I'd recommend it if you're a fan of the old classic DC universe. I'm sure my friend Timmy brought I'm sure he would love to read this damn. I'm sure he has read it. I don't know if he's reviewed it or not, but I reviewed it now. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review, and that's definitely gonna be a video today. Guess I don't have time to do any other videos today, so expect you all tomorrow for my review for Attack on Titan. Yep, just next video. Bye.